No, have they called you? Okay.
You know they coming. All right, testing. Okay, we are ready to start our public hearing. It is June 16th, 2025. It is now 6:33 p.m. I would like to start with a roll call starting from my left.
Councilwoman Diane Howard.
Councilman Darrell Honoré.
Mayor Reynolds.
Councilwoman Yolanda Shepherd.
Mayor Pro Tem Amelia.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will prepare for a moment of silence, please. Moment of silence. All right, at this time, approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve public hearing June 16, 6:30 p.m.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. At this time, Ms. Ashley, is there any citizens for any comments at this moment? No? Is that correct? Okay. For or against, we do not have any. For the record, we're going to proceed with our zoning administrator, Mr. Bill Johnston, regarding.
Real quick, just to kind of introduce the project, and then I'll let Bill speak. I'm not trying to take his thunder.
Okay.
This for 7053 Penley Street is for Mr. Daniel McCahan. Just an overview, it's 8 acres. 8 acres. That's right. So it's 8 acres on Penley Street. Everybody's familiar with Penley Street, kind of that cut through between Rock Chapel and Bruce Street. Not a lot of anything really happening over there.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. McCain came to me, probably this is going on almost 8 months ago, maybe almost pushing a year, in reference to a development over there. I will say this, we have a lot of people come to us, you guys know that. They don't own the property. He didn't own the property at the time. He currently owns the property now. So he didn't own the property when he came to me and presented this idea. Of course, I said, yeah, we would love it. We welcome any development. We welcome everything. But what's the one thing that happens? It never follows through. They don't buy the property, or they want it for free from the city. I will say Mr. McCain has actually bought the property himself and is doing this project himself. So that's one step more than anybody's ever given.
Right.
So there's been some discussion back and forth between myself and Mr. McCain about what we want to see. Of course, townhomes, that's the most viable use right now for everybody that's a seller or a buyer. So I think he's bringing a very good product to you guys. I think we've kind of worked out a usage of that wetlands area that's on the very bottom of his property. We all know it when we go by. When you look to the right where she parked there, when you look to the left, you see those big concrete sewer caps, right? I think for a long time we've talked, and it's been brought up in council meetings years ago, how do we connect Rock Chapel to Bruce Street? Rather than you having to go down and walk all the way up Penley Street and back down, and right in front of the roads. He's gonna, talk to you guys about a very viable way that we looked at, and had Harry along with Bill kind of discuss what can we do with that. And I think it's very beneficial. And I think it's gonna be something you guys are gonna be happy about. So I'll let Bill talk about it, and then Mr. McCain can talk, ask questions, and we'll hopefully Bill in.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Council, it's nice to see everyone again. Been a long time. Maybe they'll finish that construction project one of these days.
Yes.
Anyway, I want to submit my report dated May 14, 2025 for the record. And as just stated, Mr. McCahan has applied for rezoning of the 7053 Penley Street property from an R60 single family detached to an RM75 multifamily residential district. Rezoning applications are a balancing of the objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan with the characteristics of the site, market demand, and public input. I haven't seen any public yet, but maybe somebody will show up. In this case, the site contains a significant amount of unbuildable area. There's a stream running through the property. So the density from the R60 single family is 6,000 square foot lot minimum. That would allow 6 units per acre. The RM75 allows 18 units per acre. Because of site constraints, it's something that I recommend we consider, because there's so much unbuildable area on this property. The comprehensive plan assigns a traditional residential character area to the property, calls for infill of detached and attached single-family residences with compatible architectural character. There are some renderings that have been submitted with the application for your review. The townhomes would also encourage home ownership, and it's always preferred by jurisdictions. So the comprehensive plan supports the proposed rezoning in a number of ways. It talks specifically about attached single-family residences, which are townhouses. Whenever RM 75 district following rezoning, if that happens, whenever that abuts a single-family detached district, a transitional buffer is required. The transitional buffer is 50-foot buffer. You can't really do too much within that buffer. But that's the instance here, because we have single-family detached in the rest of the area of that neighborhood. So that's proposed as a condition of zoning to reduce the width of the buffer from a 50-foot to a 30-foot. And that's something for council to discuss and ultimately decide. There's also the stream buffer ordinance that must be followed. There's opportunity for a reduction in that buffer, because what's proposed is a footpath and a wooden bridge. So the wooden bridge is impervious area. They'll have to be granted a variance to the stream buffer ordinance. Not that that's before us tonight, but I want us to be aware of that will be coming later in the development process. So the stream buffer is a local ordinance by the city of Lithonia. And I'd like to make that a recommendation for the conditions of zoning that, let me just get to that. Stream buffer variance to allow construction of a footbridge in the buffer and any other variation from the city of Lithonia stream buffer protection ordinance cited by the city engineer. That's an engineering responsibility because it talks about mitigation measures, sorry. And I'm not an engineer, so that'll be for the city's engineer to take up. But I also think it's important to acknowledge that that would be a variance associated with this zoning, because without that variance, it's going to be very difficult for him to develop the site. The second variance would be a 50-foot transitional buffer to allow a 30-foot buffer. And that's in the ordinance. It's section 27-383. The architectural plans I mentioned will be presented. I guess you have them on your phones already. So that would be another condition. So you have the site plan and the architectural renderings for your consideration, deliberating over the application for rezoning. Are there any questions?
Yes, I do. Right now, I need to do a drive-by, but right now, what's on the property?
Woods.
Just wood. Okay, and there's a stream running through it?
Yeah.
And is that causing the wetland? Or are you talking about putting a pipe so to direct the water through one of those big concrete pipes, or are you just gonna?
That's true. The wetland you're thinking about, that's not caused by that side.
Not over where the house is?
Yeah, so where he's at on this side of the road already has the state waterway that is already there. The pipe is already under the ground.
Okay,
So it's a wetland, but it's not a wetland where there's standing water all the time. They just consider it wetland because it's the lowest part of that area, which is where water funnels to.
and does it remain damp or wet?
I wouldn't say it remains damp or wet, but when it rains, it stays damp or wet longer than if you had, a piece of property just sitting flat. But it
That's
doesn't.
the way that part is.
Yeah, the one on Bruce Street behind the park, yeah, that remains damp and wet because that has a buildup where there's no pipe that runs from there to 124. Remember, we had the problem with the beaver built up the actual stream.
Yeah.
That actually has a stream in it that is actually probably as wide as this room in the back. His stream is very small.
Yeah, but I've walked on that when it was dry, actually, when we have those dry
Yeah.
spots. Okay, single family detached, so, is it gonna have, parking? I see a parking pad. Is it a parking pad or garage?
So each unit will have its own garage, two-car garage.
Each unit have a two-car garage?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
And
Great.
it'll also have a shared concrete driveway. So if you're looking at, I can show you if you don't mind.
Okay, please.
Here, when you're coming into Finley Street,
Mm-hmm,
this right here is your asphalt.
mm-hmm,
But as you can see from this piece of asphalt, you're not able to get to each one of these units.
right.
There's going to be concrete, a shared concrete driveway to each one of these units.
Okay, so from the asphalt, then you're going into concrete
Yes, ma'am.
and concrete into your unit, so then
Into each
you
one of those units.
so you either go one way into your unit or the other way into the other unit. Okay, all right, thank you.
Can you show us over here?
So coming in from Finley Street, this area right here, this is asphalt. And as you can see, it looks like a hammerhead using like this. To go to each one of these units, you have to have use of a shared concrete driveway.
Okay.
So
So the question I was curious about, on the photo that they sent,
Mhm.
it just shows one unit, but I know that you're applying for 24 units.
So essentially, those were my preliminary renderings. Those are exactly what you're going to see.
Just all
but they-
attached.
But they will be attached.
Yeah.
So on, I think one of them is titled the Irene. It's short for the interior unit. The interior unit, the ones that you have show windows on the side. But
Yeah,
because it's an interior unit, you won't have any windows. The windows will be in the front and the back of the unit.
gotcha.
I have another part to the question.
Sure.
But thank you, because I was not remembering this part. Okay, so you said, these are gonna be town homes and they're gonna be sold as individual homes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you said that it's going to encourage home ownership.
Yes, ma'am.
So meaning that there'll be homes to sold as, okay. So actually, it's gonna encourage, it's gonna be home ownership.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I don't plan on owning these outright. I plan on selling all of them.
How many did you say you thinking about doing?
I can only do 24. I wanted to do
Okay.
more, but the neighbor, he won't.
He won't.
He won't even talk to me. I think it's Mr. Reese, I believe it is. I've approached him like 3 times, and he just won't.
The seller's property?
Well, I don't need all of his property. I just need
You could
I
get
work
it.
with him.
I don't need
He-
all of
yeah,
his
I haven't
property.
buy that property
I just
for
need
this.
his piece
Oh,
right here.
okay.
I could, well, never mind, I'm not gonna do
But if you won't talk to me,
That little part down there?
But he said that he's gonna do something. So I was like, all right.
Mhm.
So go left him alone.
His property.
Yeah, I can't.
Alrighty. All right, council, so what do we have so far as a decision?
Real quick, I want to clarify on the stream buffer variance that Mr. Johnson stated. So I talked to Harry, actually me and Harry met out there. Just to give you guys an example, City of Swanee has a massive wetlands area that they could do nothing with. And it's on the very back side of where they have their townhomes at. So what they did is they built the floating bridge, but it's just a wooden bridge that is about 1 foot, 2 feet off the ground,
Mhm.
but it's not in the ground. Okay, so if there's ever a problem, you replace the wood, whatever happens, and and use it as a walking trail. So the idea that Mr. McKay was talking about is building, because we like to have amenities with each development. So the amenity would be a walking path for the individuals, homeowners in the townhomes to walk down to a floating bridge that would go from Rock Chapel to Bruce Street, which in turn, they could walk down and walk over to the park if they want to walk, or they can walk to Rock Chapel and come, they'll be right
Don't
here
have
to
to go
come
all
up
the
right
way
to
down
Main
there.
Street. The trade-off, if they were to build it, would be the city could maintain. It's a walking trail. Essentially it's just wood that goes there. You extensively worked with Harry on this. It doesn't go into the ground, so technically it's not approaching one much other than just it's a full bridge. So
What is it, if it doesn't go in the ground?
it's just the posts that are in the ground. It's not
Okay,
built
got it,
into
got
the
it.
ground.
One other thing, have you experienced the shared driveway before? Did that cause a problem when somebody don't want to go all the way to their driveway, they just want to sit there and then they blocking somebody? Has that been a
Well,
problem?
I've never had that as a problem in any of the projects that I've worked with. I also have a developer I know who's recently built. I'm sure you probably heard of him, but in I believe it's Union Park right now, and you also have their tiny home communities. In most tiny home communities, the entire community are shared driveways. So I mean, that's just how you even get to your units. So I don't foresee that being an issue, no more than an issue if you go through a neighborhood and there's a car parked on the street and it's there's an issue. I don't think that you guys will be dispatching any more policing to that area for somebody saying, hey, somebody's
Blocking the driveway.
blocking my driveway. I can't get into my home.
Got you.
I just have a few quick questions.
Sure.
On one of the photos, it was showing like a pool. Did I see that
A body of water.
I think that might not. Let me see.
right here?
Right. So no, that's not. It's just
Oh,
That-
only the thing.
Okay, I was like, I'm just looking at the picture. Okay.
And you know what? Something is on that picture. It's not even water. I don't even think
Yeah, it's
that's water.
like it's a water feature.
No, that's a parking lot. Look,
Look,
there's
it's
a
a
car
park
park
right
there.
It looked like water.
It looked like water here. We should just show you.
Yeah, that's a park.
It did till I blew it up and
Okay.
seen a car and a
I like that.
motorcycle right there. That's nice. Very nice.
Any other questions?
One last.
Oh, I did.
Sure.
How many bedrooms will the units have? Bedroom bathroom ratio.
Each unit will have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garages in each. However, they will vary in size. So there will be 10 Edwin units, which are the in-cap units, 10 Irene units, which are the interior units. Those units are going to range from 2,100 square feet to 2,300 square feet of living space. The SAM are the smaller units. We needed to use that
More like loft space.
it was area. It was basically area that would have just been open field, but to kind of maximize the development, what we did was we created a smaller unit that's 1,300 or 1,375 livable square feet. But if you're looking at the plans, it looks like there's only one garage. I mean, there's only one car garage, but it's actually a double. So as you go in, you can stack 2 cars right in front of each other.
You see a lot of that in metro Atlanta area. I guess my third question was tri-levels. Each unit is a level.
Each unit has no. Each unit is just a unit of its own. It has 3 floors.
Okay.
So the third floor is a rooftop deck for each unit.
Nice.
Well, we moving in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you gonna make me steal my house and move.
Come on, come on.
So,
Which I will say real quick, and it'll come back to you guys, but to give you a heads up, our ordinance, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, is up to 35 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he will need to go 36 and a half because he's using steel beam.
I'm using a steel beam structure. So essentially, when we first created our plans, we were building on a 2x12 foot I-beam joist that connects one side of your house to the next. But because it's going to be an open floor space plan, we're going to the whole entire lower level, which is right at 26 feet. We have to increase the beam. So when you increase the length of the beam, you also increase the height of the beam, which is roughly like around 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So I think in your zoning right now, you currently have it at 35 feet is the highest that you can build in, I guess, in the RM75 zoning. And then
we need 36.
I need 36 and a half to 37. 37 would be great, but I only really need 36 and a half because I know that it will be above 35. It's not.
Chief and I talked about this. I was after a conversation checking. It's not 35 feet. It's 4 stories.
Oh,
Maximum.
Okay,
We good.
well, I'm good then. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, here it is. Section 27(3)(84), height of buildings and structures. No building or structure shall exceed 4 stories in height, provided however that no building exceeding 3 stories in height shall be authorized except after approval of the fire, Department of Fire and Rescue Services. 4 stories, I prefer it with a number.
But my height
Stories
versus
or
height.
12-foot stories. But anyway, he's good to go with the height proposed.
Now, how many bedrooms upstairs, did you say?
Three,
Three
2 bed.
bedrooms, 3
All,
bedrooms.
all of them gonna be 3
Right.
bedrooms?
We got
All of them are
753.
the Sams are 3 bedroom, 2 baths. The Edwin and the Irene are 3 bedroom, 2.5 baths. So there's a half bath on the first floor.
Who's Esmond and who's Irene?
The name
That's
of
how
the
when I first was creating it, that's how I kind of remembered it. I had the end unit. I just said, let me just come up with something so I can
Oh, all right.
quickly remember it based off of my speaking with my civil engineer.
So what's the price range?
So the price range is going to range from $299 to $350.
What?
299,000 to 350.
I like that.
$299 to $350.
The only question I had was us just thinking about HOA. Do you
There will-
plan
there-
to have?
I don't plan on I don't plan on having an HOA, but if that's something that the city would like to see, we can incorporate it, but I wasn't planning on having an HOA.
Thank you.
The only reason why I think it's something to talk about is just because of how it's very shared in that space of what you drew out. And I can just kind of foresee it being an issue with maybe landscaping and just a few other things, that's all.
We can definitely look at it.
I don't know if I can say this on record, but do you have, I know you're gonna take a look at both issues, but council, would you rather a HOA or would you rather for us to control our city?
Pretty simple. They own their own property.
You still own, yeah.
Well, you still own your property, but you see what I'm saying, right? Like, our ordinances, the things that we do on a daily basis with our residents, like, we control, was there in the city.
I'm talking as a buyer. I
I look
HOA.
at it from a buyer's perspective
You
as
like
well.
HOA?
I don't
Yeah.
I don't like
Extra
HOA.
cost. Yeah.
But you gotta make sure your cousins cut their grass.
Yeah, that's the only
But
aspect
that's
I'm
where the
looking
city
at.
comes in.
That's why we got code enforcement.
So the entire tract of subdivision.
And,
I mean,
That's
you
what
own
I'm-
your own
that's what I was
property, take
saying.
care of your own
Yeah.
property.
They're platted so they own individual owners.
Mhm.
All the properties.
Right.
No common space.
Just the driveway.
Yeah.
And it's concrete.
City will have more bite.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
What if the concrete gets cracked and somebody needs to repair it?
We can do the cost of easements, the attorney may not know that, but, it's a good point, that's gonna be. Driveway.
The shared
The
driveway.
shared driveway.
The shared driveways would come down.
So, yeah, I think if they're specific easements, and then the terms there, but
Mhm. Yeah, got you. Well, you look at that later. Okay, so council, as far as decision, and it's now 6:56, we have a 7 o'clock millage rate meeting. What's the decision at this moment regarding Penny Street?
Go forward.
Vote to approve the development.
To approve the zoning.
The zoning.
This is rezoning.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezoning for 7053 Henley Street.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Don't go missing on us, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, we.
All right, council, I need a motion to adjourn, please.
I motion to adjourn.
Well, I'm invested now.
Any discussion?
I own property in the city.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
second right here.
Yeah, I second.